If you've ever experienced the astronomical pain from stepping on a Lego, or the agonizing torment of waiting for a response after sending a risky text to someone you're about to find out has no interest in you, then you've experienced what true torture feels like. But people way back in the day were a little bit more sadistic when it comes to causing extremely unpleasant experiences. In fact, public torture and executions were something to look forward to. Yo Tom, I hear they're finally about to execute Jack the Jacker. You coming? No, but I bet he is. Anyway, I gotta go catch a movie with my third wife. Maybe next time. Catch a what? So anyway, here's 5 torture methods that you may not be familiar with. If you're not one to handle any kind of violence or blood or stuff like that, why did you even click this video? Well, I hope you're ready, cause here we go. First, we have the Poena Cullei, a form of Roman capital punishment which translates to the penalty of the sack. Now, before you get any ideas about someone being a brutal ball buster, this refers to an actual sack. This punishment was handed out to those who were convicted of patricide, the act of offing your own dad. The individual would be bound and placed in a leather sack, but not alone. An assortment of animals included dogs, snakes, chickens, or even monkeys were placed in the sack with you. The sack was then sewn up and tossed into a body of water, so not only did you drown, but you were also getting absolutely demolished by panicking animals who were also going to drown. This punishment must have been quite popular as it had been used as far back as 100 BC up until the 1700s. The next method of torture showed that the English knew how to party. Designed in the early 1500s, the Scavengton's daughter, or the Scavenger's daughter, served the opposite function as the famous rack. Nope, this rack. Instead of stretching the victim to look like a pool noodle, the Scavenger's daughter compressed them until the ribs, chest, or spine dislocated. The goal of the device was not death, but simply to interrogate the victims, squeezing the truth as well as a couple organs out of them. The victim would be placed under an iron hoop which was able to be slowly compressed until the victim either confessed or died. It is said that the victims will often have blood shoot out of their ears and nostrils from the intense pressure. There is another device bearing the same name, but it operates under a different principle. The Spanish version, called La Scavenger's Daughter, worked by locking the victims in an excruciating and unnatural position, causing their joints to freeze up. But that can be quickly remedied with a few healthy stretches on the rack. Speaking of stretches, boy is this one a doozy. Take a look at this sucker. This is called the Pear of Anguish. What do you think it does? This bad boy right here, invented sometime around the 1600s, was theorized to also have been used as an extortion device, extracting confessions from victims. Leaving little to the imagination, the device is thought to have been inserted into the mouth, where it would be slowly opened, expanding the pear to the point of unhinging or breaking the jaw. There is also a possibility it may have been used in buttholes and hoo-has, though fortunately there is almost no evidence to support that this device was used in such a way. But to be fair, the Pear of Anguish looks like something you could buy off of Adam and Eve or at the back of a Spencer's. We're gonna move on to something a little less open-y. Ah yes, here we have the Heretic's fork, a device that looks like someone forgot where they put their wrench. Yet this is another truth extractor. Apparently a lot of people lied back then, unlike today. Used mainly during the highly unexpected Spanish Inquisition by the loving and inclusive Catholic Church to seek out non-believers, the device was affixed between the jaw and the chests of many victims. Both ends of the fork were pronged. One end would pierce under the chin while the other pierced the sternum. The length of the fork was customized for each use, making sure that the victim's head was tilted all the way back full stop. The victim would be unable to speak or sleep without experiencing excruciating pain. Typically, the forks were inscribed with the phrase, "I recant," meaning that the victim was physically unable to recant. If you didn't confess, you were tortured in worse fashions and eventually executed. But if you did confess, you had the pleasure of still being tortured for being a filthy heretic. A real win-win there. The good news is that even though it was used hundreds of years ago, you can still buy one off of Amazon for one low payment of $44.99, so keep your chin up. Okay folks, last one. You having a good time? Yeah, you are. The execution method called Ling Chi has been used for over 1,000 years, which is appropriate because it's also known as the death by 1,000 cuts. Reserved for only the most heinous of crimes, this form of punishment was used in China from the year 900 up to the early 1900s. Generally, the guilty would be restrained on a wooden post with one or multiple executioners cutting into them, usually starting off with small, slow incisions to maximize suffering, and then continuing on to larger and more damaging cuts. sometimes even severing whole limbs toward the end. Unfortunately for the victim, the process was never fully well defined, and that was left up to improvisation. Historical recounts of Ling Chi state that executions could be as quick as 20 minutes or as long as 3 days. Not only was the permanent damage to the human body bad for the victim while they were alive, obviously, but it was also believed that the damage inflicted would carry on into the afterlife, condemning them to be sliced and diced as a spooky spirit. Huge bummer. I really hope this video sated your bloodlust, you absolute psycho, so why not cool off and check out a more tame video on the channel, like maybe this one? I'll see you over there.